California was done first and foremost because there was tax incentives to do so. And there was a big push at the same time to put more clean energy on the grid. But California is actually not a good state for wind because there's only in very localized areas like the Tehachapi mountain range, Palm Springs, further up north, up by San Francisco and so forth. There's these areas where wind makes sense, but it's fairly small local areas. Now, why is it still good to put up wind turbines in California? It's because of the population density. So a lot of people using a lot of power. And so that makes sense from a practical standpoint to put these turbines up. Whereas if that was the cost of that we had to pay in the Midwest for turbines, it would not be technically or financially feasible. But because Californians are so used to paying so much for power anyway, wind power is still cheaper in California, even without tax subsidies. Now, in the Midwest, there were a handful of pioneers that said, it is very windy here. What can we do? The grid was really not, because you have to be able to get the power out of where you're making it. And in the Midwest, there's like a capillary network of electricity pathways to get it out to where the big load centers are in the South Texas, on the East and the West. And there's not really a good way for us to transport that power out. So it started really small. Then state and federal and the utilities said, oh, well, once the cost of a turbine, once the capital cost of the wind turbine has been accrued, then the fuel is free because the fuel is in the wind. So this is all about a capital cost thing. Whereas for a gas-fired power plant, 20% of your lifetime cost is in the capital cost up front. 80% is your fuel cost over the life. With a wind turbine, it's opposite. 80% of your lifetime cost is in the hardware. 20% of the lifetime cost is in operation and maintenance, oil, grease, all those sort of the spare parts. So what really started to change was when the utilities in Texas, in Iowa, in Oklahoma a little bit, Minnesota also, was when the grid started expanding. So when the grid became more robust and the utilities had seen the light that this power is the cheapest that you can put on the grid, all of a sudden things started happening. And now we're to the point where coal-fired power plants are being shut down, converted to natural gas, or even natural gas peaker plants are being converted to battery storage, such that when we have too much wind and we can't all use it in our houses, we can store that electricity in very large battery banks. And instead of firing up a natural gas power plant or a coal-fired power plant, we can let that electricity back onto the grid from battery.